Welcome back to the second part of the program. You're watching KTN Business Today with me, Abi Agina. And our recap of our Twitter poll question this afternoon, we are asking you, how can publishers become more proactive when it comes to dealing with the digital disruption as well as increasing the readership culture in the country? Keep weighing in on this particular Twitter poll, and we'll be having a conversation shortly with also the Managing Director for Longhorn, the newly appointed Managing Director. Well, as I promised, we now want to dive deep on matters dispute resolution, and I'm joined by two interesting guests. Allow me to give you the pleasure to quickly introduce yourself as you give us your opening remarks in relation to the upcoming conference on dispute resolution.
My name is Mary Cheruyot, and I'm a certified professional mediator.
Yeah.
And we are involved in both training of people who are interested in becoming mediators or professional mediators, as well as actually providing services for those who may be involved in disputes and would like to resolve them.
All right.
And coming from tomorrow is a conference, a national conference on mediation, which is going to gather those in mediation, those who are training mediators. We have come together as Dispute and Conflict Resolution International in partnership with the Institute of Certified Secretaries, with Strathmore University, with Kenya School of Law, with Law Society of Kenya, with FIDA, with PULA, many organizations that are supporting this conference, where we will bring together those who are mediators and those who are training mediators and those interested in mediation as a way to resolve disputes, who do not want to totally depend on going to court on matters of dispute.
All right. I'll be coming back to you, Cheruyot, on this topic. Let me take it off with Dan. And looking at global world right now, we are seeing a lot of efforts being put towards alternative dispute resolution. And this is expected to reduce the legal costs at the end of the day for corporates as well as for individuals. Perhaps talk to us about the trends we are seeing around dispute resolution.
There is a trend toward alternative dispute resolution in the courts. Now, I personally have more experience with working in workplaces, dealing with conflict resolution in workplaces, primarily between employees or between managers and employees. So I am not greatly familiar with the courts, but I am generally familiar with the fact that alternative dispute resolution in the form of mediation and arbitration are increasingly used to reduce the pressure on the dockets, on the courts, so that people can get resolution to their greater satisfaction, because they have a voice in the process of deciding what that solution is, and it's also quicker and cheaper, so it is certainly an advantage.
All right. And coming back to you, looking at Kenya, we've seen the Kenya Revenue Authority actually register better revenues based on alternative dispute resolutions over time. And of course, looking at this particular conference with the theme around resolution for development, what has been the impact of alternative dispute resolution, for instance, in Kenya?
It's doing a lot. You may be familiar with, for example, the program that was piloted by the judiciary, where many cases that have otherwise been lying in court for many years have been screened and handed over to mediators to help resolve them. And through that process, what happens is that resources which would otherwise have been locked and tied and not usable because they were at a dispute becomes available to the economy. We also have had situations where families that have been fighting over, for example, matters of succession, inheritance, and other issues, again, have been taken through mediation and have been resolved. And it's not exactly where it ought to be, but it is increasing. And we're just telling people more and more that when you have a dispute, instead of rushing to court, seek out the services of a mediator, which is likely to resolve the issue or the dispute much faster. And that would definitely have a great impact on the country. Even, for example, on commercial matters, instead of matters lying in court for a long time, damaging relationships, for example, between service providers or goods providers with the consumers. By going through mediation, they may be able to actually maintain the relationships.
All right.
Yes.
And Dan, what do you feel about the awareness levels of consumers and the general public when it comes to issues of mediation? Because they are the biggest beneficiaries of a system that is well-oiled.
Certainly. Awareness is growing tremendously. Now, I come from the United States, so I'm a visitor, a happy visitor to Kenya.
Welcome to Nairobi.
Few days. Thank you. It's great to be here.
We had Obama recently.
Appreciate the invitation to join the conference.
Yeah.
But in the United States, there's been, for the last 10 to 20 years, there's been advancing use of mediation and public awareness of mediation in the courts as an alternative dispute resolution method, but also in the workplace. Organizations use it more frequently now than previously to resolve disputes between people who have an ongoing interdependent relationship. They're co-workers or boss-subordinate relationship that they need to be able to work together in the future. So it's not just a settlement of a dispute with money or some other related kind of outcome.
All right.
So it is growing, and it's benefiting a lot of people, I think.
All right. And what's the one thing that people should look up to when it comes to mediation, especially around this conference? You are one of the keynote speakers. Just give us a sneak peek into what people should expect.
Okay, a sneak peek.
Yeah.
The title of my talk is The Promise of Mediation. So it kind of outlines how mediation can grow and become increasingly used more broadly. So it's not just in the court system, but in workplaces and even in families and communities. So my specialty, as I mentioned, is people who have ongoing interdependent relationships. Of course, we do that at work, but we also do that in home, in our communities and neighborhoods. So, so I'll be kind of painting the broader picture of mediation as it can be used just between small groups and also between even married couples.
All right. And you have the last word.
Yeah.
Perhaps just give us a forward outlook into Kenya. Where are we when it comes to mediation, and how can we deepen this?
We definitely have a very great opportunity, considering the fact that mediation is one of the alternative dispute resolution methods that has now become recognized through our Constitution, through Article 159, Section 2. So that in itself gives it the power to be used. And then as we create and as we increase the awareness, we expect that many more people will begin to look out to mediation as a means of resolving their disputes, instead of living the Kenyan style, where I'm sure you're familiar with, see you in court, or I will send you my lawyer. That has been our Kenyan approach, but where we begin to recognize the fact that we can hold a conversation and agree on how to move forward over a matter, I think that would be a very good thing. And that's the way I see things will be going in Kenya. Right now, I think the mediation is still very, very young, and we definitely want to be able to go out there to the 47 counties and create awareness, let people know that there is a way of resolving disputes without necessarily going to court, which tends to generally take much longer and generally is much more expensive and intimidating. And instead helping people to talk, especially where there are interdependent relationships, where relationship is essential and therefore we want the relationship to continue.
All right.
Yes.
We look forward to taking part of the conference.
Welcome.
Well, it's tomorrow, if I'm not wrong.
It starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then there's Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll have a time when we actually, if somebody has a dispute, can come over, because we expect many mediators to come. So we do hope that we will have an opportunity for people who would like mediation. They can tease it out.
All right.
Yes.
Many thanks for making time for us.
Thank you.
We look forward to that conference. That Standard Media Group is also a partner. Well, let's